Appendix 1 of Manual of the New Zealand Flora. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Beeswaxcandle. Manual of the New Zealand Flora by Thomas Frederick Cheeseman. Appendix 1. Synoptical Key to the Orders. The classification adopted in this work is that followed by Hooker and Bentham in their well-known Genera Plantarum, published between the years 1862 and 1883. It is also the arrangement adopted in the Flora of New Zealand, the Handbook, in Bentham's Flora Australiensis, and in the whole of the series of colonial floras prepared under the more or less active guidance of the authorities at Kew. Its principal defect is in the sequence of the orders of the dicotyledons, which is made to depend entirely on the characters afforded by the perianth, the polypetalous orders being followed by the gammapetalous, and these in their turn by the various orders in which the floral envelopes are more or less reduced or altogether wanting. But this last group, known as the monochlamydiae or incompleti, consists largely of orders presenting well-marked affinities with others in the polypetalous or gammapetalous divisions. Hence, by recent authors, and notably by Engler in Die natürlichen Pflanzenfamilien, the monochlamydious division has been entirely abandoned, the orders composing it being relegated in part to the polypetalae and in part to the gammapetalae. As Engler's classification is now largely used, I have appended to the following synopsis a sketch showing how the orders of New Zealand plants are arranged under it. Subkingdom 1. Phanerogamia. Plants bearing true flowers, that is, having stamens and ovules, the latter after fertilization developing into seeds containing an embryo. Class 1. Dicotyledons. Stem, consisting of a pith in the centre, of bark on the outside, and of interposed woody tissue. When perennial, increasing in diameter annually by the addition of a new layer of wood to the outside of the old wood, and by a new layer of bark to the inside of the old bark. Leaves usually with reticulated veins. Parts of the flower generally in 4s or 5s or 8s. Embryo usually with 2 opposite cotyledons, rarely with several in a whorl. Subclass 1. Angiospermous dicotyledons. Ovules enclosed in an ovary, which is always provided with a stigma. Pollen not directly applied to the ovules, but falling upon the stigma, and there emitting pollen tubes which pass through the tissue with the stigma, and so reach the cavity of the ovary and the ovules. Division 1. Polypetalae. Flowers with both calyx and corolla. Petals free. Exceptions. Flowers wanting the corolla occur in 1. Ranunculaceae, Clematis myasurius caltha, 3. Cruciferae, some species of Lepidium, 6. Caryophyllae, Colobanthus, and a few species of Stellaria, 18. Rhamnae, 3 species of Pomaderus and Discaria tumatu, 19. Sapindaceae, both the genera found in New Zealand, 23. Rosaceae, Achena, 27. Holorhagii, Calatrice and frequently Ingunnera, 29. Onograceae, 1 species of Fuchsia, 32. Phycoideae, Tetragonia, 35. Cornaceae, occasionally in Griselinia. Petals coherent at the base occur in 7. Portulaceae, Montia hectorella, 10. Malvaceae, 17. Stackhauseae, 25. Crassulaceae, Tillii, 31. Cucurbitaceae, Psychos. Subdivision 1. Thalamiflorae. Sepals generally distinct and separate, free from the ovary. Petals hypogynous. Stamens hypogynous, often indefinite. Torus small or elongated, not expanded into a disc. Ovary superior. Exceptions. Stamens sometimes slightly perigynous and 6. Caryophyllae, Colobanthus. Ovary apocarpus, carpels 1 or more. 1. Ranunculaceae. Sepals 3 or more, often petaloid. petals 5 to 20, in a single series, wanting in 3 of the New Zealand genera. Stamens indefinite. Fruit to few or many achenes or follicles. Seeds albuminous. Herbs with radical or alternate leaves, or climbers with opposite leaves. Page 1. 2. Magnoliaceae. Sepals and petals together forming 3 or more series. Stamens indefinite. Fruit of 1 or more carpels. Seeds albuminous. Trees with alternate leaves. Page 28. Ovaries syncarpous. Placentas parietal. 3. Cruciferæ. Flowers regular. Sepals 4. Petals 4. Stamens usually 6, 4 of them longer than the others. Ovary spuriously 2-celled. Seeds exalbuminous. Embryo large curved. Herbs. Leaves alternate, exstipulate. Page 30. Exceptions. Stamens frequently reduced to 4 or even 2 in nasturtium and some species of lepidium. 4. Violariae. Flowers regular or irregular. Sepals 5, petals 5, anthers 5, connivent into a ring surrounding the pistil. Connective often produced. Fruit of capsule or berry. Seeds albuminous. Herbs or shrubs or small trees. Leaves alternate. Page 43. 5. Petosporae. Flowers regular. Sepals and petals 5 each, rarely 4. Stamens 5, anthers free. Fruit a coriaceous or woody 2 to 4-celled capsule. Placentas the same number as the valves. Seeds albuminous, embryo minute. Trees or shrubs, leaves alternate, exstipulate. Page 51. Ovary syncarpous. Placentas basal. 6. Caryophyllae. Sepals 4 to 5. Petals the same number. Stamens 4 to 5 or 6 to 10. Ovary 1-celled. Ovules many. Styles 2 to 5. Seeds albuminous. Embryo curved. Herbs. Leaves opposite, entire. Stipules present or wanting. Page 61. 7. Portulaceae. Sepals 2. Petals 4 to 5. Stamens 3 or more. Ovary 1-celled. Ovules 2 or more. Style 1, 2 to 3 fid. Seeds albuminous. Embryo curved. Herbs, leaves opposite or alternate, entire. Stipules present or wanting. Page 70. Ovary syncarpous. Placentas axile. 8. Elatinae. Sepals 2 to 5. Petals the same number. Stamens equal in number to the petals or twice as many. Ovary 2 to 5-celled. Ovules many. Styles 2 to 5. Aquatic herbs. Leaves opposite. Stipulate. Page 73. 9. Hypericineae. Sepals 5. Petals 5. Stamens numerous, free or polyadelphous. Ovary 3 to 5-celled. Ovules numerous. Styles 3 to 5. Herbs or shrubs. Leaves opposite. Exstipulate. Usually gland dotted. Page 74. 10. Malvaceae. Sepals 5. Persistent. Petals 5. Contorted in bud. Stamens monadelphous. Anthers 1-celled. Carpels either several connate into a ring or forming a 5 to 10-celled capsule, rarely reduced to 1. Herbs or shrubs or small trees, often with stellate down. Leaves alternate, stipulate. Page 75. 11. Tiliaceae. Sepals 5. Deciduous. Petals 5. Stamens free or connate at the base only. Anthers 2-celled. Ovary 2 to 10-celled. Trees or shrubs. Leaves alternate or opposite. Stipulate. Page 81. Subdivision 2. Disciflorae. Sepals distinct or connate. Free or rarely adnate to the ovary. Disc usually conspicuous, expanded into a ring or cushion either free or adnate to the ovary or calyx or to both, rarely broken up into separate glands. Stamens usually definite, inserted upon the disc or at its outer or inner base. Ovary superior. Exceptions. Disc reduced to minute glands in 12 lineae and 13 geraniaceae, altogether wanting in 21 coriariae. 12 lineae. Flowers regular, sepals 4 to 5, petals 4 to 5, convolute in bud. Stamens usually 4 to 5, ovary 3 to 5 celled, ovules 1 to 2 in each cell, styles 3 to 5, seeds albuminous, herbs, leaves alternate, entire, usually exstipulate. Page 86. 13. Geraniaceae. Flowers regular or irregular, sepals 3 to 5, petals 3 to 5, imbricate in bud. Stamens usually 10, ovary 3 to 5 lobed and celled, ovules 1 or 2 or rarely many in each cell. Herbs, leaves opposite or alternate, stipulate or exstipulate. Page 87. 14. Rutaceae. Sepals and petals 4 to 5, imbricate in bud. Stamens 8 to 10, inserted at the outer base of a fleshy disc. Ovary 3 to 5 lobed or of 3 to 5 separate carpels. Style often simple. Ovules 2 in each cell. Trees or shrubs, rarely herbs. Leaves usually opposite, often compound, gland dotted, exstipulate. Page 92. 15. Meliaceae. Calyx small, 4 to 5 lobed, petals 4 to 5. Stamens monodelphous, anthers sessile or stipitate at the top of the staminal tube. Disc annular or tubular. Ovary entire, 3 to 5 celled. Ovules 2 in each cell. Shrubs or trees. Leaves alternate, usually compound, exstipulate. Page 95. 16. Olacinaceae. Calyx small, 4 to 5 lobed, petals 4 to 5, free or connate at the base. Stamens 4 to 10. Ovary 1 celled or imperfectly 3 celled. Ovules 1 to 3, pendulous. Style 1. Shrubs or trees, leaves alternate, exstipulate. Page 96. 17. Stachyarzeae. Calyx 5 lobed, petals 5. Linear, free or connate above the base. Stamens 5. Ovary 2 to 5 lobed and celled. Styles 2 to 5. Ovules solitary in each cell. Fruit of 2 to 5 cocci. Herbs. Leaves alternate, simple and entire. Page 97. 18. Rhamneae. Calyx 2 to 5 lobed, vulvate. Petals 4 to 5, often minute or wanting. Stamens as many as the petals and opposite to them inserted on the margin of the disc. Ovary often inferior, 3 celled. Style simple. Ovules 1 in each cell. Shrubs or trees, often with stellate hairs. Leaves alternate or opposite, stipulate. Page 98. 19. Sapindaceae. Calyx 4 to 5 lobed or of 4 to 5 distinct sepals. Petals wanting in the New Zealand genera. Stamens 5 to 8, hypogynous or inserted within the disc. Ovary 1 or 2 to 3 celled. Style simple. Ovules usually 1 to 2 in each cell. Trees, leaves alternate, simple or compound, exstipulate or rarely stipulate. Page 101. 20. Anacardiaceae. Calyx 3 to 5 lobed, petals 3 to 7. Stamens as many or twice as many as the petals inserted under or upon the disc. Ovary usually 1 celled. Ovule solitary. Trees or shrubs, leaves alternate, exstipulate. Page 104. 21. Coriariae. Sepals 5, petals 5, free, becoming fleshy in fruit. Stamens 10, hypogynous. Disc wanting. Ovary of 5 to 10 free carpels. Ovules solitary in each carpel. Styles as many as the carpels. Fruit to 5 to 10 indehiscent cocci, embraced by the fleshy and juicy petals. Shrubs, sometimes herbaceous. Leaves opposite or in threes, simple, entire, exstipulate. Page 105. Subdivision 3. Calyciflorae. Sepals usually more or less connate, very rarely distinct, often adnate to the ovary. Petals and stamens inserted on the inside of the calyx tube, or on the top of an epigynous disc when the calyx is adnate to the ovary. Ovary superior or inferior. Exceptions: calyx and corolla both wanting in one genus of 27 Helorrhagii, TriciaG. Petals connate at the base in 25 Crassulaceae, Tilia. Stamens hypogynous in 26 Drosoraceae. Ovary superior, except in some Rosaceae and Saxifragiae. Stamens perigynous. 22. Leguminosae. Flowers irregular and papillinaceous in the New Zealand genera. Stamens 10 in the New Zealand genera. All or 9 of them combined into a tube sheathing the pistil. Ovary of a single carpel. Fruit a legume. Seeds without albumen. Trees, shrubs or herbs. Leaves often compound, usually alternate and stipulate. Page 107. Exceptions: Carmichaelia, Corallispartium and Notispartium are usually leafless, and the structure of the pod in the first is most remarkable. 23. Rosaceae. Flowers regular. Calyx 4 to 5 lobed, tube inferior or enclosing the ovary, or in some non-indigenous genera adnate to the ovary. Petals 4 to 5. Ovary of 1 or more free or connate carpels. Ovules 1 or more in each carpel. Seeds without albumen. Herbs or shrubs. Leaves usually alternate, stipulate. Page 123. 24. Saxifragiae. Calyx inferior or superior, 4 to 5 lobed. Petals 4 to 5. Stamens 5 to 10. Ovary 2 to 5 celled. Ovules usually numerous in each cell. Leaves albuminous. Herbs, shrubs or trees. Leaves opposite or alternate, simple or compound. Page 133. Exception: Donatia is a very anomalous member of the order. 25. Crassulaceae. Flowers regular. Calyx 3 to 5 partite. Petals 3 to 5, subhypogynous. Stamens the same number as the petals, or twice as many, subhypogynous. Carpels as many as the petals, free, one-celled. Succulent herbs with entire opposite leaves and no stipules. Page 139. 26. Drosoraceae. Flowers regular. Sepals and petals 4 to 5, imbricate in bud. Stamens the same number, hypogynous or perigynous. Ovary usually one-celled. Ovules many on parietal placentas. Fruit capsular. Seeds albuminous. Herbs. Leaves radical or alternate, covered with glandular irritable hairs. Page 144. Ovary inferior, except in Passiflorae. Stamens epigynous. 27. Helorrhagii. Flowers often much reduced. Calyx limb, 2 to 4 toothed or wanting. Petals 2 to 4 or wanting. Stamens 1, 2 or 4 epigynous. Ovary 1 to 4 celled. Ovules solitary in each cell. Seeds albuminous. Herbs terrestrial or aquatic. Leaves various. Page 147. Exceptions: Calyx and corolla both wanting in TriciaG. Petals often wanting in Gunnera and Myriophyllum. 28. Myrtaceae. Calyx lobes 4 to 5. Petals 4 to 5 imbricate. Stamens numerous. Ovary inferior or half superior, 2 to 5 celled. Ovules few or many. Trees or shrubs. Leaves opposite or alternate, exstipulate, usually gland-dotted. Page 159. 29. Onagrarii. Calyx lobes 2 to 4, valvate. Petals 2 to 4, contorted in bud. Stamens 4 or 8. Ovary inferior 2 to 4 celled. Ovules numerous in each cell. Seeds without albumen. Herbs, shrubs or trees. Leaves opposite or alternate, exstipulate. Page 170. 30. Passiflorae. Calyx lobes 4 to 5, petals 3 to 5, often with a crown of filaments at their base. Stamens as many as the petals. Ovary superior, stipitate, 1-celled. Ovules numerous on parietal placentas. Seeds albuminous. Climbers with lateral tendrils. Leaves alternate, stipulate. Page 187. 31. Cucurbitaceae. Flowers unisexual. Calyx lobes 5, corolla 5-partite or of 5 free petals. Stamens 3 to 5. Ovary inferior, 1-celled and 1-ovuled in the sole New Zealand genus. Leaves without albumen. Climbers or trailers with lateral tendrils. Leaves alternate, exstipulate. Page 189. 32. Ficoidea. Calyx lobes 3 to 5. Petals numerous or wanting. Stamens few or many. Ovary inferior in the New Zealand genera, 3 to 8 celled. Ovules 1 or many in each cell. Seeds albuminous. Succulent herbs. Leaves opposite or alternate. Page 190. 33. Umbelliferae. Calyx lobes 5 or obsolete. Petals 5, stamens 5, incurved in bud. Ovary inferior, 2-celled. Styles 2. Ovules solitary in each cell. Fruit separating into 2 dry indehiscent carpels. Herbs often aromatic. Leaves alternate, simple or compound. Page 193. 34. Aureliaceae. Calyx lobes 5 or obsolete. Petals usually 5, stamens 5, ovary inferior 2 to 10 celled. Styles as many as the cells, ovules solitary in each cell. Fruit not separable into distinct carpels, often succulent. Shrubs or trees. Leaves simple or 1 to 7 foliate. Page 225. 35. Cornaceae. Calyx lobes 4 to 5. Petals 4 to 5 or wanting. Stamens 4 to 5. Ovary inferior, 1 to 2 celled. Ovules solitary in each cell. Fruit succulent, indehiscent. Shrubs or trees, leaves simple, alternate in the New Zealand species. Page 236. Division 2. Gamopetalae. Flowers within both calyx and corolla. Petals more or less connate into a lobed corolla. Exceptions. Corolla absent in the New Zealand species of 47 Oleaceae. Petals free or nearly so in some species of 45 Mercenae. Subdivision 1. Epigyne. Ovary inferior. Stamens epipetalous. 36. Caprifoliaceae. Flowers regular in the New Zealand species. Calyx lobes 4 to 5. Corolla lobes 4 to 5. Anthers free. Ovary 2 to 5 celled. Ovules 1 or several in each cell. Seeds albuminous. Shrubs, leaves opposite or alternate. Stipules wanting. Page 239. 37. Rubiaceae. Flowers regular. Calyx lobes 4 to 5 or obsolete. Corolla lobes usually 4 to 5. Anthers free. Ovary 2-celled. Ovule solitary in each cell in the New Zealand species. Seeds albuminous. Trees, shrubs or herbs. Leaves opposite with interpetiolar stipules or whorled with the stipules apparently absent. Page 242. 38. Compositae. Flowers small, massed in involucrate heads. Calyx limb reduced to pappus hairs or scales or wanting. Anthers connate into a tube sheathing the style. Ovary one-celled. Ovule solitary, erect. Seed dry, exalbuminous. Herbs, shrubs or trees. Leaves various, exstipulate. Page 267. Stamens epigynous. 39. Stylidii. Flowers regular or irregular. Corolla 5-lobed. Lobes imbricate. Stamens 2, filaments adnate with the style into a central column. Ovary 2-celled. Ovules numerous in each cell. Herbs usually of small size. Leaves small, entire, exstipulate. Page 389. 40. Goodenoviae. Flowers irregular. Corolla 5-lobed. Lobes in duplicate valvate. Stamens 5, free from the style. Ovary 1 to 2-celled. Ovules 1 to 2 in each cell or numerous. Style with a cup-shaped indusium below the stigma. Herbs or undershrubs. Leaves usually alternate, exstipulate. Page 394. 41. Campanulaceae. Flowers regular or irregular. Stamens 5, free or connate into a tube surrounding the style. Ovary 2 to 8-celled. Ovules numerous in each cell. Herbs. Leaves alternate, exstipulate. Page 396. Subdivision 2. Hypogony. Ovary superior. Stamens epipetalous, or free and hypogynous. Flowers usually regular. 42. Ericaceae. Corolla 4 to 5-lobed. Stamens 8 to 10, almost free from the corolla. Anthers 2-celled, opening by 2 terminal pores. Shrubs. Leaves alternate, exstipulate. Page 404. 43. Epacridae. Corolla 4 to 5-lobed. Stamens 4 to 5, alternate with the corolla lobes. Anthers 1-celled, dehissing lengthwise. Shrubs or small trees. Leaves alternate, exstipulate. Page 409. 44. Primulaceae. Corolla 4 to 5-lobed. Stamens as many as the corolla lobes and opposite to them. Ovary 1-celled. Ovules numerous on a free central placenta. Fruit capsular, usually indehiscent. Herbs. Leaves various. Page 428. 45. Merciniae. Corolla lobes 4 to 5, free or nearly so in the New Zealand species. Stamens as many as the corolla lobes and opposite to them. Ovary 1-celled. Ovules numerous on a free central placenta. Fruit succulent, indehiscent. Trees or shrubs, leaves alternate, gland dotted, exstipulate. Page 430. 46. Sapotaceae. Corolla 4 to 8-lobed. Stamens as many as the corolla lobes and opposite to them or twice as many. Ovary 4 to 8-celled. Ovules solitary in each cell. Fruit and indehiscent berry. Trees often with milky juice. Leaves alternate. Page 434. 47. Oleaceae. Corolla 4 to 5-lobed. Absent in the New Zealand species. Stamens 2, alternating with the carpels. Ovary 2-celled. Ovules 1 to 2 in each cell. Fruit succulent in the New Zealand species, indehiscent. Trees or shrubs, leaves usually opposite, exstipulate. Page 436. 48. Apocynaceae. Corolla 4 to 5-lobed, contorted in the bud. Stamens 4 to 5. Alternate with the corolla lobes. Anthers sagittate, connivent around the stigma. Ovary of 2 more or less distinct carpels, styles connected. Ovules numerous. Erect or twining shrubs. More rarely herbs. Leaves usually opposite. Page 439. 49. Loganiaceae. Corolla 4 to 5-lobed. Stamens as many as the corolla lobes and alternate with them. Anthers free. Ovary usually 2-celled. placentas axile, ovules several in each cell. Shrubs or trees, leaves opposite, often connected by interpetiolar stipules. Page 441. 50. Gentianae. Corolla 4 to 5 lobed. Stamens as many as the corolla lobes and alternate with them. Anthers free. Ovary 1-celled. Placentas 2 parietal. Ovules numerous. Fruit capsular. Herbs usually with a bitter taste. Leaves opposite, quite entire, exstipulate. Page 444. 51. Boraginaceae. Corolla 5-lobed. Imbricate. Stamens as many as the corolla lobes and alternate with them. Ovary 4-lobed to the base, consisting of 2 2-lobed and 2-celled carpels. Ovules solitary in each cell. Fruit separating into 4 indehiscent nutlets. Herbs, often hispid or scabrous. Leaves alternate, exstipulate. Page 457. 52. Convolvulaceae. Corolla 5-lobed or angled, plicate. Stamens 5, alternate with the corolla lobes. Ovary of 2 to 4 cells or carpels. Ovules 1 to 2 in each cell. Fruit usually capsular. Twiners or rarely erect herbs. Leaves alternate, wanting in coscata. Exstipulate. Page 473. 53. Solanaceae. Corolla 5-lobed, plaited or imbricate. Stamens 5, alternate with the corolla lobes. Ovary 2-celled, placentas axile. Ovules numerous in each cell. Fruit plicate or capsular. Herbs or shrubs. Leaves alternate, exstipulate. Page 480. Flowers usually irregular. Exceptions. Flowers regular in 60 Plantagenii, subregular in several species of Veronica, 54 Scrophulinarinii, and in Myoporin, 57 Myoporinii. 54. Scrophularinii. Corolla 4 to 5 lobes imbricate. Stamens usually 4. Didynamous, often with a rudiment of a 5th, rarely with 5 perfect ones, or the number reduced to 2. Ovary 2-celled, placentas axile. Ovules numerous. Fruit usually capsular, seeds albuminous. Shrubs or herbs. Leaves opposite or alternate, exstipulate. Page 482. 55. Lintibularii. Corolla 2-lipped. Stamens 2. Ovary 1-celled. Ovules numerous on a free central placenta. Fruit capsular. Seeds without albumen. Small water plants, usually furnished with minute bladders which catch small aquatic animals. Page 558. 56. Gesneraceae. Corolla 5-lobed, stamens 4. Didynamous, sometimes reduced to 2. Ovary 1-celled, ovules numerous, on 2 parietal placentas. Fruit capsular, seeds with or without albumen. Shrubs or trees, leaves opposite. Page 562. 57. Myoporinii. Corolla subregular in the New Zealand species. Stamens 4. Didynamous or subequal. Ovary usually 2 to 4-celled, with 2 ovules in each cell. Fruit drupaceous. Seeds albuminous, radical superior. Shrubs or trees, leaves alternate, gland dotted. Page 563. 58. Verbanaceae. Corolla often 2-lipped, stamens 4. Didynamous, rarely reduced to 2. Ovary 2 to 4-celled. Ovules 1 to 2 in each cell. Fruit drupaceous or capsular. Seeds with scanty albumen. Radical inferior. Shrubs or trees, leaves opposite, exstipulate. Page 564. 59. Labiatae. Corolla 2-lipped or rarely subregular. Stamens 4. Didynamous or subequal. Rarely 2. Ovary 4-lobed, composed of 2 two-partite carpels. Ovule solitary in each lobe. Fruit of 4 indehiscent nutlets. Herbs with quadrangular stems. Leaves opposite or verticillate, exstipulate. Page 567. 60. Plantagenae. Flowers regular. Corolla 4-lobed, scarious. Stamens 4, anthers pendulous. Ovary 2-celled or spuriously 4-celled. Ovules 1 or several. Fruit a capsule with transverse dehiscence. Herbs with radical leaves. Page 569. Division 3. Incomplete. Flowers with a single floral envelope. The calyx, or both calyx and corolla wanting. Flowers usually hermaphrodite, perianth regular, ovary superior, syncarpous, 1-celled, ovule generally solitary, embryo coiled or curved, albumen farinaceous. 61. Nyctageny. Base of the perianth persistent enclosing the fruit. Stamens hypogynous. Style single undivided. Ovule basilar erect. Shrubs, trees or herbs. Leaves usually opposite, exstipulate. Page 573. 62. Illibraceae. Perianth 4 to 5 partite. Herbaceous or coriaceous. Stamens perigynous. Styles 2 to 3. Fruit and indehiscent 1-seeded utricle. Herbs. Leaves opposite, connected by a raised line. Exstipulate in the single New Zealand genus. Page 575. 63. Amarantaceae. Perianth 4 to 5 partite, dry and scarious. Stamens hypogynous or perigynous. Style usually simple. Fruit and indehiscent 1-seeded utricle. Herbs. Leaves alternate or opposite. Exstipulate. Page 576. 64. Chenopodiaceae. Perianth usually 4 to 5 partite, herbaceous. Stamens perigynous. Styles 2 to 3. Ovule basilar, amphitropous. Horizontal or erect. Herbs or undershrubs, usually succulent or mealy tomentose. Leaves alternate or opposite, exstipulate. Page 577. 65. Polygonaceae. Perianth 3 to 5 partite, green or coloured. Stamens perigynous. Styles 2 to 3. Ovule erect, basilar, orthotropous. Herbs or shrubs, leaves alternate, stipules scarious, forming a tubular sheath around the branch. Page 587. Flowers usually unisexual, in spikes or catkins. Perianth rudimentary or wanting. Ovary superior or rarely inferior, 1-celled and 1-ovuled. Embryo very small, albumen copious. 66. Piperaceae. Flowers minute, perianth wanting. Stamens 2 to 6, hypogynous. Ovary superior. Ovule erect, orthotropous. Fruit a berry. Herbs, shrubs or trees. Leaves alternate or opposite. Page 594. 67. Chloranthaceae. Flowers minute, perianth rudimentary. Stamens 1 to 3. Ovary inferior, ovule orthotropous. Pendulous from the apex of the cell. Shrubs or small trees, leaves opposite, page 597. Flowers hermaphrodite or unisexual. Perianth more or less conspicuous, green or coloured. Ovary superior, 1 or rarely 2-celled. Ovules solitary or 2 to 4. Seeds with or without albumen. Embryos straight. 68. Monomiaceae. Perianth 4 to 10 lobed, imbricate. Stamens indefinite. Ovary of numerous 1-celled and 1-ovuled carpels. Embryos small, albumen fleshy. Trees or shrubs, leaves opposite, exstipulate. Page 598. 69. Lauriniae. Perianth 4 to 8 partite, imbricate. Stamens opposite the perianth segments, anthers opening by deciduous valves. Ovary 1-celled, ovule solitary, pendulous, albumen wanting. trees or shrubs or alternate leaves or leafless twiners. Page 601. 70. Proteaceae. Perianth 4-partite, valvate. Stamens 4, opposite the perianth segments and inserted on them. Ovary 1-celled. Ovules solitary or 2 collateral, rarely more. Albumen wanting. Trees or shrubs, leaves usually alternate. Page 604. 71. Thymeliaceae. Perianth tubular, 4 to 5 lobed. Stamens 2 to 4 inserted on the perianth tube. Ovary 1 to 2 celled. Ovules solitary in each cell, pendulous. Shrubs or rarely herbs. Bark tough and stringy. Leaves opposite or alternate. Page 607. Flowers hermaphrodite or unisexual. Perianth usually conspicuous. Ovary inferior 1-celled. Ovules 1 to 3, generally devoid of integument. 72. Loranthaceae. Perianth 1 to 5 partite or of 4 to 5 separate leaves. Stamens as many as the perianth leaves. Ovules solitary. Fruit a berry. Parasitic shrubs. Leaves sometimes wanting. Page 617. 73. Santalaceae. Perianth 3 to 5 partite. Stamens as many as the perianth segments and inserted upon them. Ovules 1 to 4. Suspended from a free central placenta. Fruit a berry. Shrubs or trees, rarely herbs, sometimes parasitic. Leaves opposite or alternate, exstipulate. Page 623. 74. Balanophore. Flowers dioecious or monoecious on many flowered spadices. Perianth of the male flowers 3 to 4 lobed when present, absent in the female flowers or closely adnate to the ovary. Ovary with a single suspended ovule. Root parasites with a deformed tuberous rhizome and no true stem or leaves. Page 625. Flowers strictly unisexual. Perianth absent or small or calcine. Ovary superior or inferior 1 to 3 celled. Ovules 1 or 2 collateral in each cell. 75. Euphorbiaceae. Perianth wanting or simple or calcine, or double with the inner whorl of 4 to 5 petals. Stamens 1 to many. Ovary superior 3-celled. Ovules 1 to 2 in each cell. Seeds with copious albumen. Embryo straight. Trees, shrubs or herbs, usually with milky acrid juice. Leaves generally alternate, stipulate. Page 626. 76. Urticaceae. Flowers minute, green. Perianth 4 to 5 lobed or partite, often small and rudimentary, sometimes wanting. Stamens 4 to 5, opposite the perianth segments. Ovary superior, 1-celled. Ovule solitary, erect or pendulous. Trees, shrubs or herbs. Leaves usually alternate, stipulate. Page 630. 77. Cupelliferae. Flowers minute, greenish. Males in catkins. Females solitary or few together, surrounded by bracts. Perianth small or wanting. Ovary inferior, 2 to 3 celled. Ovules 2 in each cell. Fruit indehiscent, 1-seeded. Trees or shrubs, leaves alternate, stipulate. Page 639. Subclass 2. Gymnospermae. Ovules naked, not enclosed in an ovary. Style and stigma wanting. Pollen coming into direct contact with the ovules. 78. Coniferae. Flowers unisexual. Perianth always wanting. Males catkin-like, reduced to stamens only. Females are 1 or more naked ovules, sessile on a scale or bract. Scales few or many, in the latter case often forming cones or heads. Trees or shrubs. Leaves undivided, acicular or scale-like, rarely flattened. Page 644. Class 2. Monocotyledons. Stem consisting of a cellular axis traversed longitudinally by scattered closed vascular bundles with no defined central pith or separable bark. Leaves usually with parallel veins. Parts of the flower generally in 3s or 4s, never in 5s. Embryo with a single terminal cotyledon. Series 1. Epigeny. Perianth conspicuous, biseriate, usually coloured. Ovary inferior, syncarpous, 3-celled. 79. Orchidea. Flowers irregular, perianth petaloid, stamen 1 or rarely 2, confluent with the style and stigma into a column, ovary 1-celled with 3 parietal placentas. Seeds numerous, minute, without albumen. Terrestrial or epiphytic herbs of very various habit. Page 660. 80. Irideae. Flowers regular in the New Zealand species. Perianth petaloid. Stamens 3, distinct. Anthers extrorse. Ovary 3-celled. Fruit loculocidally 3-valved capsule. Seed with copious albumen. Perennial herbs. Leaves narrow, often equitant and ensiform. Page 698. 81. Amaryllidae. Flowers regular. Perianth petaloid. Stamen 6, distinct. Anthers extrorse. Ovary 3-celled. Fruit loculocidally 3-valved capsule. Seeds with copious albumen. Perennial herbs. Leaves narrow, usually radical. Page 700. Series 2. Coronariae. Perianth more or less conspicuous, biseriate, green or coloured. Ovary superior, syncarpous. Seeds albuminous. 82. Liliaceae. Perianth petaloid of 6 segments or leaflets. Stamens 6 opposite the perianth segments. Ovary 3-celled. Ovules 2 or more in each cell. Herbs climbing shrubs or trees. Leaves various. Page 701. 83. Juncaceae. Perianth green or brown, scarious, of 6 segments or leaflets. Stamens 3 or 6. Ovary 1 or 3-celled. Ovules 1 or many in each cell. Fruit a 3-valved capsule. Herbs with persistent rush-like leaves. Page 721. 84. Palmy. Perianth green, herbaceous or fleshy, of 6 segments or leaflets. Stamens usually 6. Ovary 1 to 3-celled. Ovules solitary in each cell. Fruit drupaceous. Trees. Leaves large, pinnately or flagellately divided. Page 739. Series 3. Nudiflorae. Perianth wanting or rudimentary. Ovary superior, syncarpous or monocarpous or apocarpous. 85. Pandanae. Flowers dioecious on oblong or globose spadices. Perianth wanting. Stamens numerous. Ovaries crowded, often connate, 1-celled. Ovules numerous in the New Zealand genus. Trees or climbing shrubs. Leaves narrow, margins spinulose, serrate. Page 740. 86. Typhaceae. Flowers monoecious, in dense spikes or globose heads. Perianth wanting or reduced to scales or bristles. Stamens 1 to 8. Ovary 1 to 2-celled. Ovules solitary. Tall aquatic herbs with linear leaves. Page 742. 87. Lemnaceae. Flowers minute without perianth, placed in clefts on the margins of the fronds, usually a single female with 1 or 2 males by its side. Male flowers of a single stamen, female of a solitary carpel. Minute water plants consisting of green scale-like floating fronds. Page 744. 88. Naiadaceae. Flowers hermaphrodite or unisexual. Perianth wanting or of 3 to 6 herbaceous segments. Stamens 1 to 6. ovary of 1 to 6 free or connate carpels, each one-celled and with a solitary ovule. Submerged or floating aquatic plants or marsh herbs, page 745. Series 4, Glumliflory. Flowers in heads or spikelets, invested by imbricate bracts. Perianth wanting or reduced to minute bristles or scales. Ovaries superior, one-celled and one-ovuled, or divided into several one-ovuled cells or distinct carpels. 89. Centrolepidæ. Flowers hermaphrodite or polygamous. Perianth wanting, stamens 1 or 2, anthers versatile. Ovary either one-celled or collaterally 2 to 3-celled, or of several distinct one-celled carpels. Small annual or perennial herbs, sometimes almost moss-like. Leaves linear or filiform. Page 755. 90. Restiaceae. Flowers unisexual. Perianth of 6 scarious leaflets. Stamens 3. Ovary 1 to 3-celled. Ovules solitary in each cell, pendulous. Fruit nuclear or capsular. Stems solid terete. Leaf sheaths split to the base. Page 759. 91. Cyperaceae. Flowers hermaphrodite or unisexual. Perianth wanting or represented by minute hypogynous scales or bristles. Anthers basifixed. Ovary one-celled. Fruit compressed or trigonous. Stems usually solid and trigonous. Leaf sheaths entire. Page 762. 92. Gramineae. Flowers hermaphrodite or rarely unisexual. Perianth wanting or represented by 2 minute scales. Anthers versatile. Ovary one-celled, fruit grooved down one side. Stem cylindrical, hollow except at the nodes. Leaf sheaths split to the base. Page 838. Subkingdom 2. Cryptogamia. Plants not bearing true flowers, that is, having no stamens or ovules, and never producing seeds containing an embryo. Class 1. Pteridophyta. Plants usually furnished with roots, leaves, and stems, in all cases containing well-developed vascular tissue. Reproductive organs composed of sporangia or spore cases containing microscopic spores, which on germination developed a prothallium. 93. Filices. Sporangia minute, placed on the margin or undersurface of the leaf or frond, rarely somewhat larger and arranged in spikes or panicles. Spores all of one kind. Fronds circinate in vernation, except in the suborder Ophioglossacea. Page 925. 94. Marceliaceae. Sporangia of 2 kinds, macrosporangia and microsporangia, enclosed together in the cavities or cells of globose sporocarps near the base of the fronds. Macrosporangia containing a single macrospore, microsporangia with numerous microspores. Marsh plants, usually of small size, fronds circinate in vernation. Page 1030. 95. Salviniaceae. Sporangia of 2 kinds, macrosporangia and microsporangia, enclosed in distinct sporocarps on the undersurface of the frond. Macrosporangia containing a single macrospore, microsporangia with numerous microspores. Free-floating, fugacious annual water plants of small size. Page 1030. 96. Lycopodiaceae. Sporangia are all of one kind, placed singly at the upper base of the leaves or at the bracts of a spike or cone. Stems simple or branched, erect or pendulous, or prostrate and creeping, usually leafy throughout. Leaves small. Page 1032. 47. Isoetaceae. Sporangia large, placed in a hollow of the dilated base of the leaf. Those of the outer leaves containing macrospores, those of the inner leaves microspores. Aquatic or amphibious stemless plants, often entirely submerged. Leaves densely tufted, linear or filiform. Page 1042. The remaining classes and orders of cryptogamia are not included in the present work. Arrangement of the New Zealand orders according to the classification adopted in Engler and Prantls Natürlichen Pflanzenfamilien. Subkingdom Embryophyta Siphonogama. Division 1 Gymnospermae. Class 1 Coniferae. 1 Taxaceae. 2 Pinaceae, equivalent to Order 78 of the previous arrangement. Division 2 Angiospermae. Class 1 Monocotyledonea. Cohort 1 Pandinales. 3 Typhaceae, Part 86. 4 Pandinaceae, 85. 5 Sparaginacea, Part 86. Cohort 2 Helobiae. 6 Potamegitanaceae, Part 88. 7 Juncaceae, Part 88. Cohort 3 Glumophorae. 8 Graminae, 92. 9 Cyperaceae, 91. Cohort 4 Principes. 10 Palmae, 84. Cohort 5 Spathiflorae. 11 Lemnaceae, 87. Cohort 6 Farinosae. 12 Restionaceae, 90. 11 Centrolipidiaceae, 89. Cohort 7 Liliiflorae. 14 Juncaceae, 83. 15 Liliaceae, 82. 16 Amaryllidaceae, 81. 17 Iridaceae, 80. Cohort 8 Microspermae. 18 Orchidaceae, 79. Class 2 Cotyledonea. Subclass 1 Erechiclamidiae. Cohort 1 Piperales. 19 Piperaceae, 66. 20 Chloranthaceae, 67. Cohort 2 Figales. 21 Figaceae, 77. Cohort 3 Urticales. 22 Moraceae, Part 76. 23 Urticaceae, Part 76. Cohort 14 Proteales. 24 Proteaceae, 70. Cohort 5 Centellales. 25 Laurenthaceae, 72. 26 Centellaceae, 73. 27 Balanophoraceae, 74. Cohort 6 Polygonales. 28 Polygonaceae, 65. Cohort 7 Centrospermae. 29 Chenopodiaceae, 64. 30 Amarantaceae, 63. 31 Nyctaginaceae, 61. 32 Iazosaceae, 32. 33 Portulaceae, 7. 34 Caryophyllaceae, 6 and 62. Cohort 8 Renales. 35 Ranunculaceae, 1. 36 Magnoliaceae, 2. 37 Monominiaceae, 68. 38 Lauraceae, 69. Cohort 9 Rhoidales. 39 Cruciferae, 3. Cohort 10 Saracenales. 40 Drosseraceae, 26. Cohort 11 Rosales. 41 Crassulaceae, 25. 42 Saxifragiaceae, Part 24. 43 Ptosphoraceae, 5. 44 Cunoniaceae, Part 24. 45 Rosaceae, 23. 46 Leguminosae, 22. Cohort 12 Geraniales. 47 Geraniaceae, 13. 48 Oxalidaceae, Part 13. 49 Linaceae, 12. 50 Rutaceae, 14. 51 Meliaceae, 15. 52 Euphorbiaceae, 75. 53 Calotrichiaceae, Part 27. Cohort 13 Celestrales. 54 Coriariaceae, 21. 55 Corinocarpaceae, 20. 56. Dakausakasi, 15. 57. Iacasini, 16. 58. Sapinodasi, 19. Cohort 14. Remnales. 59. Remnasi, 18. Cohort 15. Malvales. 60. Iliocarpacii, Part 11. 61. Tiliacii, Part 11. 62. Malvaceae, 10. Cohort 16. Parietales. 63. Gutiferae, 9. 64. Elatinacei, 8. 65. Violacei, 4. 66. Passifloraceae, 30. Cohort 17. Myrtaflorae. 67. Thymeliaceae, 71. 68. Myrtaceae, 28. 69. Onograceae, 29. 17. Heloragidacei, Part 27. Cohort 18. Umbelliflorae. 71. Aureliaceae, 34. 72. Umbelliferae, 33. 73. Cornaceae, 35. Subclass 2. Sympetalae. Cohort 19. Ericales. 74. Ericaceae, 42. 75. Epacrodaceae, 43. Cohort 20. Primulales. 76. Mercinaceae, 45. 77. Primulaceae, 44. Cohort 21. Ebenales. 78. Sapotiaceae, 46. Cohort 22. Contorti. 79. Oleaceae, 47. 80. Loganiaceae, 49. 81. Gentianaceae, 50. 82. Apocyanaceae, 48. Cohort 23. Tubiflorae. 83. Convolvulaceae, 52. 84. Boraginaceae, 51. 85. Verbanaceae, 58. 86. Labiatae, 59. 87. Solanaceae, 53. 88. Scrofulariaceae, 54. 89. Gesneraceae, 56. 90. Lentibularaceae, 55. 91. Myoporaceae, 57. Cohort 24. Plantagenales. 92. Plantaginaceae, 60. Cohort 24. Rubiales. 93. Rubiaceae, 37. 94. Caprifoliaceae, 36. Cohort 26. Campanulatae. 95. Cucurbitaceae, 31. 96. Campanulaceae, 41. 97. Gordeniaceae, 40. 98. Candoliaceae, 39. 99. Compositae, 38. End of Appendix 1 from the Manual of the New Zealand Flora by Thomas Frederick Cheeseman.
Extract from the Waterloo Roll Call with biographical notes and anecdotes by Charles Dalton, F.R.G.S. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Kenneth the Teller. Extract from the Waterloo Roll Call with biographical notes and anecdotes by Charles Dalton, F.R.G.S. The Waterloo Roll Call. Staff. Commander-in-Chief. Field Marshal Arthur, Duke of Wellington, K.G., G.C.B., etc. Military Secretary. Lieutenant Colonel Lord Fitzroy Somerset, 1st Foot Guards, wounded. Aides de Camp, Lieutenant Colonel J. Fremantle, 2nd Foot Guards. Lieutenant Colonel C. F. Canning, 3rd Foot Guards, killed. Honourable Sir Alexander Gordon, KCB, 3rd Foot Guards, killed. Lieutenant Lord George Lennox, 9th Light Dragoons, Hereditary Prince of Nassau-Usingen. Extra Aides de Camp, Major Honourable Henry Percy, 14th Light Dragoons, Captain Lord Arthur Hill, half pay. Lieutenant Honourable George Cathcart, 6th Dragoon Guards. General H.R.H., the Prince of Orange, wounded. Aides de Camp, Lieutenant Colonel Baron Tripp, 60th Foot. Captain Lord John Somerset, half pay. Captain Honourable Francis Russell, half pay. Extra Aides de Camp, Captain the Earl of March, 52nd Foot. Captain Viscount Bury, 1st Foot Guards. Lieutenant H. Webster, 9th Light Dragoons. Lieutenant General the Earl of Uxbridge, G.C.B., wounded. Aides de Camp, Major W. Thornhill, 7th Hussars, wounded. Captain H. B. Seymour, 18th Hussars, wounded. Extra Aides de Camp, Captain T. Wildman, 7th Hussars, wounded. Captain J. Fraser, 7th Hussars, wounded. Lieutenant General Lord Hill, G.C.B. Aides de Camp, Lieutenant Colonel C. Hill, Royal Horse Guards, wounded. Major R. Egerton, 34th Foot. Major C. H. Churchill, 1st Foot Guards. Captain D. Mackworth, 7th Foot. Extra Aide de Camp, Captain Honourable O. Bridgman, 1st Foot Guards, wounded. Lieutenant General Sir Thomas Picton, G.C.B., killed. Aides de Camp, Captain Algernon Langton, 61st Foot, wounded. Captain J. Tyler, 93rd Foot, wounded. Captain N. Chambers, 1st Foot Guards, killed. Extra Aide de Camp, Captain B. Price, half pay. Lieutenant General Sir Henry Clinton, G.C.B. Aides de Camp, Captain F. Dockings, 1st Foot Guards. Captain J. Gerwood, 10th Hussars, wounded. Lieutenant General Charles Count Alton, K.C.B. Aides de Camp, Lieutenant W. Havelock, 43rd Foot, wounded. Brevet Major A. Heiss, 2nd Light Battalion, KGL. Lieutenant General Sir Charles Colville, GCB. Aides de Camp Captain J. Jackson, 37th Foot. Lieutenant F. W. Frankland, 2nd Foot Guards. Extra Aide de Camp Captain Lord James Hay, 1st Foot Guards. Major General V. Count Alton, Aide de Camp. Lieutenant Baron Ersdorf, 2nd Dragoons, KGL. Major of Brigade Captain Einem, KGL. Major General Sir John Vandeleur, KCB. Aide de Camp Captain W. Armstrong, 19th Light Dragoons. Major of Brigade Major M. Childers, 11th Light Dragoons. Major General Cook, wounded. Aide de Camp Captain G. Disbrow, 1st Foot Guards. Extra Aide de Camp Ensign Augustus Cuyler, 2nd Foot Guards. Major General Sir James Kempt, KCB, wounded. Aide de Camp Captain Honourable Charles Gore, 85th Foot. Major of Brigade Captain Charles Eels, 95th Foot, killed. Major General Honourable Sir William Ponsonby, KCB, killed. Aide de Camp Lieutenant B. Christie, 5th Dragoon Guards. Extra Aide de Camp Major D. Evans, 5th West India Regiment. Major of Brigade Major T. Reynolds, 2nd Dragoons, killed. Major General Sir John Byng, KCB. Aide de Camp Captain H. Dumaresque, 9th Foot, wounded. Major of Brigade Captain William Stothart, 3rd Foot Guards, killed. Major General Sir Dennis Pack, KCB, wounded. Aide de Camp Major E. Lestrange, 71st Foot, killed. Major of Brigade Brevet Major Charles Smith, 95th Foot, killed. Major General Lord Edward Somerset, KCB. Aide de Camp Lieutenant H. Somerset, 18th Hussars. Major General Sir John Lambert, KCB. Aide de Camp Lieutenant T. Baines, 39th Foot. Major of Brigade Major H. G. Smith, 95th Foot, wounded. Major General Sir Colquhoun Grant, KCB, wounded. Aide-de-camp Lieutenant R. Mansfield, 15th Hussars, wounded. Extra Aide-de-camp Captain W. Moray, 17th Light Dragoons, wounded. Major of Brigade Captain Jones, half pay. Major General Sir James Lyon, KCB. Aide-de-camp Lieutenant James McGlashan, 2nd Light Battalion, KGL. Major of Brigade Captain Richter, 1st Ceylon Regiment. Major General P. Maitland, Aide-de-camp Ensign Lord Hay, 1st Foot Guards, killed. Major of Brigade Captain J. Gunthorpe, 1st Foot Guard. Major General G. Johnston, Aide-de-camp Captain C. G. Gray, 95th Foot. Major of Brigade Captain S. Holmes, 78th Foot. Major General F. Adam, wounded. Aide-de-camp Lieutenant R. P. Campbell, 7th Foot. Extra Aide-de-camp Captain C. York, 52nd Foot. Major of Brigade Major Thomas Hunter Blair, 91st Foot, wounded. Major General Sir Colin Halkett, KCB, wounded. Aides-de-camp Captain H. Marshalk, 1st Light Battalion, KGL, killed. Captain A. Home, 2nd Light Battalion, KGL. Major of Brigade Captain W. Crofton, 54th Foot, killed. Major General Sir Hussey Vivian, KCB. Aide-de-camp Captain Edward Keane, 7th Hussars. Extra Aide-de-camp Lieutenant C. A. Fitzroy, Royal Horse Guards. Major of Brigade Captain Thomas Noel Harris, half pay, wounded. Adjutant General Major General Sir Edward Barnes, KCB, wounded. Aide-de-camp Major Andrew Hamilton, 4th West India Regiment. Deputy Adjutant General Colonel Sir John Ely, KCB, Royal Horse Guards, wounded. Assistant Adjutant General Lieutenant Colonel J. Waters, unattached, wounded. Lieutenant Colonel Sir George H. Barclay, KCB, 35th Foot, wounded. Lieutenant Colonel Sir Guy Campbell, Baronet, 6th Foot. Lieutenant Colonel Sir Noel Hill, KCB, 1st Foot Guards. Lieutenant Colonel D. Barclay, 1st Foot Guards, Lieutenant Colonel H. Rook, 3rd Foot Guards, Lieutenant Colonel E. Curry, 90th Foot, killed. Major A. Wiley, 7th Foot. Major G. Evatt, 55th Foot. Major W. Darling, half pay. Major F. Bremen, 2nd Light Battalion, KGL. Deputy Assistant Adjutants General, Captain Honourable E. S. Erskine, 60th Foot, wounded. Captain Lord Charles Fitzroy, 1st Foot Guards. Captain C. A. F. Bentick, 2nd Foot Guards. Captain George Black, 54th Foot. Captain H. Blankley, 23rd Foot. Captain Honourable William Curzon, 69th Foot, killed. Lieutenant James Henry Hamilton, 46th Foot, wounded. Lieutenant John Harford, 7th Royal Veteran Battalion. Lieutenant E. Gertschlacher, 3rd Hussars, KGL. Lieutenant James Rook, half pay. Deputy Judge Advocate Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Arthur Goodman, half pay. Deputy Quartermaster General Colonel Sir William Howe de Lancey, KCB, killed. Assistant Quartermasters General Colonel the Honourable Alex Abercrombie, 2nd Foot Guards, wounded. Colonel F. E. Harvey, 14th Light Dragoons. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Torrens, 1st West India Regiment. Lieutenant Colonel Sir Charles Broke, KCB, permanent. Lieutenant Colonel Sir Jeremiah Dixon, KCB, permanent. Lieutenant Colonel Lord Greenock, permanent. Lieutenant Colonel John George Woodford, 1st Foot Guards. Lieutenant Colonel C. Grant, 11th Foot. Lieutenant Colonel Sir William Gom, KCB, 2nd Foot Guards. Lieutenant Colonel Sir Henry Hollis Bradford, KCB, 1st Foot Guards, wounded. Lieutenant Colonel Sir George Scovell, KCB, half pay. Lieutenant Colonel D. Kelly, 73rd Foot. Major William Campbell, 23rd Foot. Major Honourable George Lionel Dawson, 1st Dragoon Guards, wounded. Major Charles Beckwith, 95th Foot, wounded. Captain James Shaw, 43rd Foot. Captain J. Jessup, 44th Foot, wounded. Deputy Assistant Quartermasters General Captain E. T. Fitzgerald, 25th Foot, wounded. Captain Richard Brunton, 60th Foot. Captain Thomas Wright, Royal Staff Corps, wounded. Captain H. MacLeod, 35th Foot, wounded. Captain J.J. Mitchell, 25th Foot, wounded. Captain W. Moore, 1st Foot Guards. Captain George Hillier, 74th Foot. Captain W.G. Cameron, 1st Foot Guards. Captain F. Reed, Royal Staff Corps. Lieutenant P. Barrelier, 33rd Foot. Lieutenant Basil Jackson, Royal Staff Corps. Lieutenant A. Bronze, Royal Staff Corps. Commandant at Headquarters, Colonel Sir Colin Campbell, KCB, 2nd Foot Guards. British and Hanoverian Army at Waterloo, as formed in divisions and brigades on the 18th June 1815. Cavalry, commanded by Lieutenant General the Earl of Uxbridge, G.C.B. 1st Brigade, commanded by Major General Lord Edward Somerset, KCB. 1st Life Guards, Lieutenant Colonel Ferrier. 2nd Life Guards, Lieutenant Colonel the Honourable E. P. Ligon. Royal Horse Guards, Blue, Lieutenant Colonel Sir Robert Hill. 1st Dragoon Guards, Lieutenant Colonel Fuller, Colonel. 2nd Brigade, Major General Sir William Ponsonby, KCB. 1st or Royal Dragoons, Lieutenant Colonel A. B. Clifton. 2nd or Royal N.B. Dragoons, Lieutenant Colonel J. I. Hamilton. 6th or Enniskillen Dragoons, Lieutenant Colonel J. Muter, Colonel. 3rd Brigade, Major General W. B. Dornberg. 23rd Light Dragoons, Lieutenant Colonel the Earl of Portlington, Colonel. 1st Light Dragoons, KGL, Lieutenant Colonel J. Bullough. 2nd Light Dragoons, KGL, Lieutenant Colonel C. de Jonquera. 4th Brigade, Major General Sir John O'Vandeleur, KCB. 11th Light Dragoons, Lieutenant Colonel J. W. Slay. 12th Light Dragoons, Lieutenant Colonel the Honourable F. C. Ponsonby, Colonel. 16th Light Dragoons, Lieutenant Colonel J. Hay. 5th Brigade, Major General Sir Colquhoun Grant, KCB. 7th Hussars, Colonel Sir Edward Kerrison. 15th Hussars, Lieutenant Colonel L. C. Dalrymple. 2nd Hussars, KGL, Lieutenant Colonel Linsingen. 6th Brigade, Major General Sir Hussey Vivian, KCB. 10th Royal Hussars, Lieutenant Colonel Quentin, Colonel. 18th Hussars, Lieutenant Colonel the Honourable H. Murray. 1st Hussars, KGL, Lieutenant Colonel A. Whistle. 7th Brigade, Colonel Sir F. Arenshield, KCB. 13th Light Dragoons, Lieutenant Colonel P. Doherty. 3rd Hussars, KGL, Lieutenant Colonel Meyer, Colonel Baron Ersthoff, Prince Regent's Hussars, Lieutenant Colonel Count Kielmansegg, Bremen and Verden Hussars, Colonel Bush, British Horse Artillery, Batteries, Major Bill's Howitzers, Lieutenant Colonel Weber Smiths, Lieutenant Colonel Sir Robert Gardiners, Captain Winnie Yates with rockets, Captain Mercer's, Major Ramsay's. Infantry, 1st Division, Major General George Cook, 1st Brigade, Major General P. Maitland, 1st Foot Guards, 2nd Battalion, Major H. Askew, Colonel, 1st Foot Guards, 3rd Battalion, Major Honourable William Stewart, 2nd Brigade, Major General Sir J. Byng, Coldstream Guards, 2nd Battalion, Major A. G. Woodford, Colonel, 3rd Regiment Foot Guards, 2nd Battalion, Major F. Hepburn, Colonel, Artillery, Lieutenant Colonel Airy, Batteries, Captain Santom's Foot Battery, Major Coleman's Horse, KGL, 2nd Division, Lieutenant General Sir H. Clinton, GCB, 3rd Brigade, Major General F. Adam, 62nd Foot 1st Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Sir J. Colborne, KCB, 71st Foot 1st Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel T. Raynall, 95th Foot, 2nd Rifles, Major J. Ross, Lieutenant Colonel, 95th Foot, 3rd Rifles, Major A. G. Norcott, Lieutenant Colonel, 1st Brigade, KGL, Colonel Duplat, 1st Line Battalion, KGL, Major W. Robertson, 2nd Line Battalion, Major G. Muller, 3rd Line Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel F. Divisel, 4th Line Battalion, Major F. Rib, 3rd Hanoverian Brigade, Colonel Halkett, Militia Battalion, Bremervorde, Lieutenant Colonel Schulenberg, Duke of York's 2nd Battalion, Major Count Munster, Duke of York's 3rd Battalion, Major Baron Hunefeld, Militia Battalion, Salzgitter, Major Hammerstein. Artillery, Lieutenant Colonel Gold, Batteries, Captain Bolton's Foot Battery, British, Major A. Simford's Horse, British, KGL. Third Division, Lieutenant General Baron Alton. 5th Brigade, Major General Sir Colin Halkett, KCB. 30th Foot, 2nd Battalion, Major W. Bailey, Lieutenant Colonel. 33rd Foot, Lieutenant Colonel W.K. Elphinstone. 69th Foot, 2nd Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel C. Morris, Colonel. 73rd Foot, 2nd Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel W. G. Harris, Colonel. 2nd Brigade, KGL, Colonel Baron Umpteda. 1st Light Battalion, KGL, Lieutenant Colonel L. Busha. 2nd Light Battalion, KGL, Major G. Baring. 5th Line Light Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel W. B. Linsinging. 8th Line Battalion, KGL, Major Schroeder, Lieutenant Colonel. 1st Hanoverian Brigade, Major General Count Kielmansaga. Duke of York's 1st Battalion, Major Bullough. Field Battalion Grubenhagen, Lieutenant Colonel Verb. Field Battalion Bremen, Lieutenant Colonel Langrier. Field Battalion Lüneburg, Lieutenant Colonel Kluche. Field Battalion Verden, Major de Senkop. Artillery, Lieutenant Colonel Williamson. Foot Batteries, Major Lloyds British. Captain A. Cleaves's KGL. 4th Division, Lieutenant General Honourable Sir Charles Colville KCB. 4th Brigade, Colonel Mitchell. 14th Foot, 3rd Battalion, Major F. S. Tidy, Lieutenant Colonel. 23rd Foot, 1st Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Sir Henry W. Ellis, KCB. 51st Foot, Lieutenant Colonel H. Mitchell, Colonel. 6th Brigade, Major General Johnston. 35th Foot, 2nd Battalion, Major C. McAllister. 54th Foot, Lieutenant Colonel J. Earl Waldegrave. 59th Foot, 2nd Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel H. Austin. 91st Foot, 1st Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Sir W. Douglas, KCB, Colonel. 6th Hanoverian Brigade, Major General Lyon. Field Battalion, Kallenberg. Field Battalion, Lannenberg. Lieutenant Colonel Menert. Militia Battalion, Hoya. Lieutenant Colonel Grote. Militia Battalion, Neuburg. Militia Battalion, Bentheim. Major Krupp. Artillery, Lieutenant Colonel Hawker. Foot Batteries, Major Bromes, British. Captain von Rechtberg's Hanoverian. 5th Division, Lieutenant General Sir Thomas Picton, GCB. 8th Brigade, Major General Sir James Kempt, KCB. 28th Foot, 1st Battalion, Sir C. Belson, Colonel. 32nd Foot, 1st Battalion, Major J. Hicks, Lieutenant Colonel. 79th Foot, 1st Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel N. Douglas. 95th Foot, 1st Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Sir A. F. Barnard, KCB, Colonel. 9th Brigade, Major General Sir Dennis Pack, KCB. 1st Foot, 3rd Battalion, Major C. Campbell. 42nd Foot, 1st Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Sir Robert Macara, KCB. 44th Foot, 2nd Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel J. M. Hamilton. 92nd Foot, 1st Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel J. Cameron, Colonel. 5th Hanoverian Brigade, Colonel Vinca. Militia Battalion, Hamel, Lieutenant Colonel Kluke. Militia Battalion, Hildesheim, Major Redden. Militia Battalion, Peine, Major Westphalen. Militia Battalion, Gifhorn, Major Hammerstein. Artillery, Major Heise. Foot Batteries, Major Rogers is British, Captain Bronze, Hanoverian. 6th Division, 10th Brigade, Major General J. Lambert. 4th Foot, 1st Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel F. Brooke. 27th Foot, 1st Battalion, Captain John Hare, Major. 40th Foot, 1st Battalion, Major A. Hayland. 4th Hanoverian Brigade, Colonel Best. Militia Battalion, Lunenburg, Lieutenant Colonel de Ramdor. Militia Battalion, Verden, Major Dickon. Militia Battalion, Osterode, Major Baron Redden. Militia Battalion, Minden, Major Deschmidt. Artillery, Lieutenant Colonel Brookman. Foot Batteries, Major Units, British, Captain Sinclair's British. End of extract from the Waterloo Roll Call by Charles Dalton, F.R.G.S. Read by Kenneth the Teller in the Kingdom of Fife, Scotland.